Can Blizzard take ownership of your labor in creating a new map or game mode for Warcraft 3 Reforged under their end user license agreement? Yeah, they probably can, and no, they don't have to pay you or anything like that. Let's talk about why. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, small law firm in central Minnesota. Today, we're talking about Blizzard. You may have seen some posts or some tweets or some videos or some news articles about Blizzard's new updated license agreement, updated just a couple days ago, for Warcraft 3 Reforged, and specifically the map editor, the map editing toolkit that they provide. And in it, you'll find a lot of people talking about how Blizzard gets to own the new stuff that you work on, and they don't have to give you anything. They don't even have to tell you. They already did in the license agreement. Now, I haven't seen a lot of people show the actual license agreement. They're referencing a forum post. So I figured I'd check it out. I'd share the license agreement relevant sections with you guys and talk through them very quickly. And just as a note, I was alerted to this idiotic issue via a video. And it's idiotic on the part of Blizzard, in my opinion. In my humble opinion. But I was alerted to this issue by a video from Arch Warhammer, which I'll try and link there. I don't know if it'll be there, but I'm going to try. I'll try it. Anyway, Arch covered this topic first for me. I also saw Mark Kern on Twitter talking about it, and I largely echo their sentiments. Blizzard is trying to not miss out on the next Dota. As rare of a chance it would be to recreate that sort of magic, they don't want to miss out on something like that again. So they've updated their terms of use for the toolkit to allow them to take ownership of everything on there. And the wisdom of this, I think, is low. I think it's a low wisdom sort of move. It'll stifle creativity, it stifles speech and expression, and it will restrict the modding community in a game that is largely going to be successful based on the existence of those mods. This is an 18-year-old property, and while there may be a resurgence of interest in it with a new release, those resurgences, I feel, are short-lived, at least for me. Because if I go back and play an old game because there's some new refresh or graphical overhaul, that's not what keeps me coming back to the game. Either the gameplay has to, and replayability has to be so much that I might already be playing it, or it has to be the availability of something that was otherwise hard to access. I don't think Warcraft 3's been hard for people to access. Or it's got to be some existence of a new feature or new modding or something that brings me back in and will rope me in for hours of play. Stifling creativity, that is just a recipe to kill longevity. Now, of course, do they need longevity in a game that's going to be a short-term sort of dopamine hit, a nostalgia hit for people, where they're going to buy it, they're going to access it and play it, and then they're going to put it aside? I mean, Blizzard gets the money either way. This is too much philosophical discussion and theory crafting here. Let's talk about what's in the agreement and the law. I'm going to put these up on screen. I'm not going to read through them word for word because they're kind of long. I'll try and summarize them. So you may want to pause and take a peek at each one if you want to see the specific language. But here we go. All right, this is the first section. It's about ownership, and it basically says that any custom games that you make are the property of Blizzard and will remain the property of Blizzard. You don't get anything about it. There's no royalties. There's no payment. There's no compensation. There's no promise of employment. There's nothing. You're going to give this to Blizzard. You also give any future assignments and or documents or anything like that. Anything that you would get as a result of this game also goes to Blizzard. as part of this agreement. And the remedy for this, of course, is they can just sue you if you don't do it and force you to turn over. So let's say you create some cool map or game mode, and then someone tries to monetize it like through a separate company. In case you guys are thinking about scheming through this, where you make a big mod, it gets really popular based on, you know, and it's got like a name for it or whatever, and then some other company comes in, tries to monetize like shirts based off of that mod, and they want to cut you in on an agreement, right? Like, you created it, you give us permission to make this merchandise based on your mod, and we'll then kick back some of that money to you, right? Seems like a great deal or something like that. No, Blizzard can actually come in and say that any of those profits are assignable to them because it's theirs. It's not yours. It's just your labor that they took. And they can do this. This contract is valid. It's your agreement. It's your agreement to use their toolkit, to use their intellectual property, to use their game engine, to use all of that stuff. The condition of you using that and participating in this sort of environment is you turning over the rights to everything you own. That's considered a fair trade under the law because it's a trade you're entering into willingly, and there are other options. If you want to develop a game, this isn't the only place that you can do it, right? I mean, heck, you can use the old Warcraft 3 toolkit. Now, you might not be able to access as good of resources and rendering and all of that stuff, but it's still there. And there are numerous other toolkits out there. So there isn't any sort of dire need for you to use this one in the eyes of courts, right? You won't be able to successfully argue that you're being strong-armed into this agreement. No one's forcing you into it. You don't need to do it. There's no industry requirement for you to use it. It's just there. So that's the first issue, is Blizzard can and does own everything associated with this, including stuff going forward, other agreements you may make. And now this is, of course, really to head off the idea that you could develop a brand that you would then own sort of by proxy by using their IP. So they may own the game mode, but I can own the merch associated with it. I can own any spin-offs, or another company could come in and redesign the game mode that I created that make it substantially similar, but in a custom engine or something like that. Nope. You make it on Blizzard's site. It's theirs, and you will have to overcome any of their copyright, trademark, intellectual property issues that you would have to deal with if you were, you know, just taking Blizzard's property, because what they're claiming is you are. And yes, they can do that. It sucks, but you have the choice to just not participate. The next thing, use of third-party content in games, and this is going to come out of that initial sort of agreement. This basically says you can't use other copyrighted or trademark properties in your game mode. Now, they list a couple game modes in here or no, not in here, sorry. They listed a couple of game modes in the forum post that were specifically banned. One about Dragon Ball Z, a Mario one, and something else, where basically someone incorporated other assets to bring in intellectual property of other areas or other companies and put them in this engine to make a fun environment for the players, right? Can't do that. You can't do that anymore, and that's going to come down to you needing to be able to assign the ownership of whatever you create to Blizzard. If you can't assign the ownership of Dragon Ball Z IP to Blizzard, that doesn't work, right? You don't have the right to do that. And so Blizzard's not going to allow it on their platform, because then they would potentially be implicated in this. They would be implicated in doing so. And when they take a custom game and they try to exploit it and create money out of it, they want to be able to do that with impunity. So they also have other stuff that you're not adding in any racist, offensive, threatening, harassing, abusive stuff. You know, none of that stuff can be in there as well. Blizzard is going to curate this platform. That's what they're saying. They're going to curate this platform. They have a right to, and they can remove anything. They already could. It's already theirs. But this sort of fleshes that out and lets you know that that's sort of their policy, and they have the right to remove anything. And that ultimately boils down to that first point again. Since Blizzard, without question, owns the IP of what you built, they can take it down, they can put it up, they can monetize it, they can create a new game off of it. Heck, you might save Blizzard the work of creating their next massive AAA title, or at least setting the groundwork for it by creating some sort of lore within the IP. Like you could do that and they would owe you nothing. Nothing. But they can take it down, they can put it up, they can do whatever, they curate the platform, they own it. So of course they can. Commercial exploitation of custom games. You can't do this for money. You can't. Nope. Blizzard can give you permission. You can ask Blizzard's permission to do this for money, but you can't do anything else. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, you can't get some other company to start licensing the thing that you made. You don't get to create a brand within their IP and then exploit it for yourself. That's up to Blizzard's exploitation, so you can't do that. And you can't create microtransactions in your game. Only Blizzard can create microtransactions in your game. You can't do it. So no way for you to do that or to otherwise profit from your game specifically. But there's a little bit of an exception right here. You can accept donations for custom game developments. Now, this is a nod to platforms like Patreon, where a developer or a development team is going to be gathering money, based on their work. And it's not people paying for the game. It's people paying, just sort of tribute to the amount of work that people do in the content that they already produce. So if a game developer, an indie game developer or whatever, wants to take interest in Blizzard's engine and collect money through Patreon or whatever, Blizzard can't really stop them. They really couldn't stop them anyway, because you can't gatekeep people off of Blizzard's platform, generally speaking, through Patreon, because Patreon doesn't have any control over Blizzard's platform, right? So that's kind of the idea here. So you can't, they have a problem stopping you from getting donations and tips and like streaming your development process or whatever, and getting money through super chats or getting money through Twitch donations and stuff like that. People could theoretically do that, and Blizzard would have a hard time stopping them, because it's not a person paying for Blizzard's IP at that point. As long as they're not infringing on any sort of copyright or licensing agreement that exists, they can show the stuff and talk through it. Blizzard can't stop them from monetizing that content very well. But they do have some restrictions here, and that is, you can't provide any special access, you can't provide any special advantages, so you can't do like microtransactions off the platform, you can't get custom skins, you can't do anything like that. And interestingly, corporations, LLCs, partnerships cannot be listed in the credits section of a custom game. Only individuals may be listed. This one is frustrating to me. This one bothers me a lot because, a development team might have an LLC or a company that owns their Patreon or owns their custom patron service, and Blizzard says that development team name, the company or whatever, the overarching ownership, cannot be listed in the credits. So you have to list the individual creators. Blizzard wants no bones about this. This is Blizzard's property. The map is Blizzard's map. The game modes are Blizzard's game modes. These people contributed to them. These companies did not. This is not a place for you to advertise your development team. Yes, they can do all of this, especially because they could just remove your map, right? Like, they can just remove it. They can also ban you from their services if you keep doing it. If you're a repeat offender and you're breaching the end user license agreement, the remedy really is for them to ban you from using Blizzard products, to revoke your access to the dev kit and all of that stuff. That's within their rights under this agreement. They can do that. So, how do we take this? Yes, of course, Blizzard can do it. Should they do it? I say no, but it's their company. They get to do it. Blizzard has told you, don't engage in our property. Hippity hoppity, Get off our intellectual property, right? They just told you that. They told you that. They said, don't bring your companies here. Don't bring your developments. Don't bring your audience to Blizzard. They asked you not to. Very politely. Don't do it. So whether or not you will, that's up to you. Hope you guys found this video informative. I'll link Arch's video in the description below, just in case I can't figure out how to get the link up in the corner or whatever. And, you know, if you like this stuff, like, subscribe, follow, all of that junk. Hope to see you around. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace. Peace.